Okay, just heading back from a little post office trip in the Twizy, and yes, December, and I've only just put the Twizy windows back on, but it's kind of with a heavy heart that I've decided I'm going to sell the Twizy now after pretty much exactly 3 years of ownership. If you've been watching the channel, it's because doing my motorbike license, and with the current cars and the Twizy, it's just not getting used that much, and I think I just had the MOT. I've done like 500 miles or something last year, which isn't that great. And yeah, I need to make some room to be able to fit a motorbike in the garage. So this video is going to be a little summary of kind of what I've done to the car over the 3 years I've had it, and give you some indication of what the cost of ownership is like on a Renault Twizy. Okay, it's really cold and windy outside, so we probably will head in the house to kind of get the video to the end. But seeing as we're inside, we'll talk a little bit about the stuff that I've done on the inside of the Twizy. So not too much, aside from obviously giving the car a good clean on the inside. I added some Pioneer speakers. So as standard, it doesn't come with a speaker or anything. There is a wiring loom in there though, so I've put some speakers in. There's also a little LED light up there that I got from IKEA, just so that the passenger in the back can see to put the seatbelt on when it's dark. Obviously, as part of adding those speakers, adding the Bluetooth car kit. I have used the car kit in here a few times, even though it can be quite noisy whilst you're going along. It works really well. So here we have the microphones for that, and just over here is kind of like let me just turn it on so you can see the kind of main screen for the car kit. So I bought the integrated kind of shrouding, so I want to make everything look as OEM as possible. So you see that kind of turns on, and then you can listen to music, do phone calls, all that kind of thing, and you control it with this little doodad down here. So that was relatively expensive, a few hundred. I think it's like £250 or something to do all that. Obviously I had modified my Twizy with the Powerbox V2. Obviously that's just a plug and play thing, so you just restore it back to stock when you're selling everything. Obviously, because this is a 2014 model, I don't need to kind of have any additional hardware. It just kind of plugs in and works, which is pretty cool. The car has done a total, at the time of doing this video, 4,637 miles, and yeah, it's been great. The only other stuff I've done in here is I did put the Renault kind of plastic car mats in, just to keep things a little bit nicer and cleaner. But yeah, this is a car that, yeah, it doesn't have much protection and everything, so it just kind of helps kind of keep things a little bit cleaner on the inside. And then you probably would have seen the videos if you're into Twizys. I think probably the most expensive thing that I bought that kind of helps me from the inside and the outside, of course, is these Twizy windows. So these are like polycarbonate instead of the crappy kind of, I can't remember what that material was, the real flexible, flimsy plastic of the original Renault Twizy windows. But of course, remember with the Twizy, doors and windows are extra. You can't add the doors. Later you have to get them from the factory like that, but this has the doors, and then the Twizy windows that I imported, I think it was from Spain that I got those. But these make a big difference, both to warmth in here because there's no heating, but yeah, works perfectly fine. I know a few people have had issues with their hazard warning lights getting stuck and stuff. I've never had that issue, but most of the time it's just water ingress, because not everyone is fortunate as me. They have a garage, so this car has always been garaged, so that's why it's not kind of damp and dirty. It doesn't get all moisture on the inside, and obviously it's got that really kind of cool heated windscreen, which helps clear stuff in the cold in a way. Sometimes I've noticed that can kind of get stuck on. I think it's a relay that just kind of stays on, but then it turns itself off when it needs to. But yeah, that's pretty much it from the inside. But nothing's gone wrong on the inside, no issues or anything like that. And then we'll just look quickly on the outside before we pop in the house to talk about the cost of ownership before we finish the video. Almost forgot, you got a little boot area as well behind the rear seat. The other good thing about these Twizy windows is you get all this seal in the back here, which you don't have with the Renault OEM windows. They kind of just stop there, so the person in the back gets blasted with cold air when you're driving along. But this is my Twizy, all black. Also got private plates on at the moment, but I've got the V5 sent off and kind of waiting for that to come back to put the original plates back on. But yeah, so the things I've done externally, I bought these the Twizy alloy wheels second hand and got those fitted because I think it looks much nicer with the alloys on. Put some little 8-ball valve caps on. Also painted the calipers blue just because why not, kind of looks cool. And then I put an Aeroblade wiper on, which actually is a lot better at clearing the windscreen, especially when you're going a little bit fast, because it tends to kind of flop around a little bit with the old one, whereas much better connection to the screen. Also upgraded the lights, bulbs, both the side lights and the kind of main beams, so that you can see much better at night time. And then one of the things that many people complain about, but mine's been fine, is sometimes these clips can break for the charger cover, but I think if you look after it, it's fine, and mine just works absolutely perfectly. And then a little addition which I put on for myself is I use C-Tech chargers, so I just have this easy access C-Tech charger cable, because whenever I'm not using the Twizy, I keep it plugged in so the 12 volt can kind of be looked after and maintained, because if the 12 volt battery isn't working, you can't turn the car on, because you need that to connect it to the main battery. But that's pretty much it on the outside. So apart from obviously keeping it clean and looking after it, that's really the main things I've done to this Twizy. And then the other things that I think not many people don't, which we'll talk about a little bit when we get upstairs, you've seen the videos on my channel, is I've also changed the gearbox fluid twice, not because it needed it a second time, just more from my own peace of mind as an annual thing. Renault say you never need to change the gearbox oil, but I mean, I changed it the first time and it was pretty damn dark, so it's something that I would recommend you do. It doesn't really take that long. And then the other thing obviously is I changed the brake fluid recently as well, because the car was, I think, kind of 4 years old, so you kind of due a brake fluid change in my opinion. So let's pop inside and we'll just talk a little bit more about the final kind of cost of ownership, what it is to own a Twizy, because I think that's one of the things that may put people off, but you don't know as you get to speak to someone who's had a bit of experience with it. Okay, so now I'm in the house and it's much warmer. Let's talk about obviously the annual costs of having a Renault Twizy. Now the main thing, and we just kind of get it out of the way, is currently, at the time of doing this video, Renault still charge a battery lease for the Renault Twizy. There are a couple of Twizys that, for some reason, not quite sure the hows or the whys, but people don't pay a lease on those batteries. But in general, you have to kind of pay a lease cost for the battery. So right now, the lease costs vary based on how many miles you say you're going to do in the Twizy. So I'll pop it up on the screen as I talk about it as well. But basically you enter into kind of a contract with them that also includes breakdown cover as well. So perhaps if you don't have AA or RSC or green flag or something right now, this will kind of help you out with that as well. So if you get stranded, they will kind of recover the vehicle for you. So the cheapest way to do it is entering into a 36-month contract and saying that you're not going to do over 4,500 miles a year, and then that would cost you basically £45 a month, and then you can see on the screen anything more than that, the charge does increase. In worst case, which I think would be unlikely, but if you only want to have a 12-month contract, you're going to do 9,000 miles, then it'd be £67 a month. So I think it's ridiculous, but this, if you decide to own a Twizy, that's one of the things that you need to be aware of. There's constant talk about Renault kind of scrapping this finance thing, because I think, especially when Twizy's been like 3 or 4 years old, they've more than made their money back. on those batteries, and you're still paying the same price that you would. So there's no degradation of cost, which kind of sucks. But yeah, if Renault keep on talking, or there's lots of talk, I should say, that Renault may kind of give people the option to buy the battery or end the leasing scheme. But who knows? They have just done that for the Renault Zoe. People can buy their batteries, and we'll see. And there are a couple of companies that are working on aftermarket batteries, but we'll have to see what the future holds there. In terms of servicing costs, now this is going to vary depending on what your kind of skills and capabilities are. I've never had my Twizy serviced by Renault, really just for a couple of reasons. Firstly, every Renault garage I've rung, even the ones that are supposed to be the ZE ones that obviously are familiar with the Zoe and stuff, never heard of Twizy. They don't know what it is. Not that there's really anything to service on a Twizy, but I wasn't really that confident in taking it somewhere. And also, not long after I got the Twizy, my Renault dealer closed down, and the closest one is kind of 45 miles away. So you're kind of at the range, you know, the limits of the range, because you get about 50 miles in the summer, 50 miles of range. I think 56, I think is the best I've ever had. If you kind of stick into around 30, 35, 40 miles, miles per hour, if you're going faster, you kind of only get that 30. So people tend to say, drive around at 30 miles an hour, get 50, drive around at 50, and you only get 30 miles of range. Obviously in the winter, it's colder and stuff, battery's less efficient, you don't get quite as much range there. I should mention actually with that battery lease, the other thing that it guarantees is if your ability or the charging capacity drops below 75%, then apparently Renault would replace the battery. I've never heard of anyone having these issues or anything. My battery still has 100% state of charge, still charges to all the full bars. Like I say, it's a 2014 model, so I don't think you really need to be worried about the batteries at all. So yeah, servicing costs. When I did speak to Renault, even though, like I said, that they were further away, I think they wanted like £80 to service, and basically said they're just going to check the battery status, because that's it. There's no oil or anything. And like I said earlier, they say that Renault say you never need to change the gearbox oil, but the actual manufacturer of the gearbox does recommend doing the oil change, which is why I've done it. And also, if you want to do the remapping of the power box, it's also something that's recommended. So so you've got the potential battery leasing costs. If you want to do servicing, kind of factor in maybe £100, but obviously you then also got to get it there, or just kind of do it yourself if you can. Like I say, you don't have to do anything as far as Renault say really, but you can buy yourself a diagnostic reader, plug it in, see if there's any issues, and then if you get yourself a brake fluid reservoir pump and stuff, you can change the brake fluid, and you can do the gearbox oil as well. And there's videos on this channel if you want to kind of know and see how to do that. Okay, then in terms of insurance, of this is going to vary based on kind of how old you are, how much experience you have, if you've got any claims, where you live, if it's garage on the drive, all this kind of stuff. I keep my car in a garage, as I mentioned before. I don't do that many miles, but I think I have it set to like 5,000 miles or something like that, even though I only did 500 last year. And my insurance is about £250, and that insurance, which not all insurance companies do that, but my battery is also insured. So in the event that somehow the Twizy got written off, and then there's expectation obviously then to pay Renault for the battery, that will be covered in insurance. And not all insurance companies do that, so check that, but also make your own decision as to if you want to do it or not. I did it because the price was still really good. My actual insurance premium is up for renewal this month, and I can't get the insurance any lower than that. That's like the baseline for Renault Twizy for most of these companies that I've spoken to. So that's current situation there. And obviously then running costs will vary a little bit as well. So it's only got a 6 kilowatt hour battery in there. So charging from the 3-pin plug takes a couple of hours, something like that. About 3 hours if you're completely from zero. I tend to do it either off the solar, which doesn't cost me anything, or I do it at night when I'm on my Octopus Go tariff, which is obviously 5p a kilowatt, so it costs me hardly anything to run. It's a fantastic car, and obviously you can park it anywhere, forwards, sideways, all that kind of thing. So that's it. So Renault Twizy costs for me £250 a year for insurance, about £45 a year to MOT it. I don't really class electricity costs as running costs. Obviously, it will be something, it will depend how many miles you do, but it's pretty much negligible. I kind of call it £1 every time I charge, even though it's nothing like that. But worst case, if I was charging during the day and stuff, probably be about £1. And obviously then consider battery lease costs and then service costs, but I do all that myself. So that kind of helps give you an idea of the things you need to think about if you're going to buy a Renault Twizy. Everything else is pretty standard. Tyres, I haven't had to change mine. I changed one of them because someone put a screw in the side of it. But apart from that, obviously you can get brake pads and stuff off eBay, but you've got regenerative braking, so the brakes and discs should last you quite a long time really. When you do have to change the backs, I think you have to change the whole hub though, because it's like an integrated disc. But that's it. I love the Twizy. I'm going to miss it, but hopefully it's going to bring someone else a lot of joy. And obviously I've got the Tesla now, and the whole reason I got the Twizy was, one, for some fun and to experience it, and I had test driving one, I loved it, but kind of get me exposed to the world of electric vehicles. And now I've got the Tesla, I've still got my electric skateboard, which I need to find more time to use as well, and now looking at the motorbikes as well. And so who knows, maybe in the future we'll have an electric motorbike in the stable at some point too. Thanks for watching this video. A thumbs up would be really appreciated. If you're interested in other geek type videos, please consider subscribing to Spectrum Geeks. Why not also follow us on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. And before you leave, why don't you check out one of these other videos that may be of interest. Thanks again for watching.